Hi there, and welcome to the last in the current series of videos, podcasts, and transcripts that I've been doing. This is Genealogy Hangout. My name's Fiona Telleson, and in this session, this is the last one, and I'm going to talk some tips and tricks on using the census. Now, you'll recall that I mentioned in the last one that I presented about the census for the US, the UK and Australia. Now, there are other countries that have done census in the past, and I'll briefly mention them. That's Scotland and Ireland. Now, be aware that Wales is included with the UK, but Scotland and Ireland may have their own, well, they do have. So Scotland was from 1841 to 1911, that is available online at www.scotlandspeople.gov.uk. So they are generally confidential for 100 years, as I mentioned, and in the US, the 72-year rule. Oh, excuse me. So what happens in the census, and why would you want to find your ancestors in the census? Well, the census is an amazing tool, and let me put it into perspective. I have a family member, my husband's great-great-grandfather, who was born in 1856. So the first census that we find him on is the 1861 census. Now, he was born in Liverpool, England, but he wasn't there in 1861. He was actually in Wales in 1861. And that got me thinking, why was he there? And I couldn't find his mother. So that led me to find that his mother had passed away just before the 1861 census. So I was able to get her death certificate and find the information on how she died, and that was very helpful. So that really punched down or knocked down a brick wall for me. So with genealogy and getting started, it's important that you have these tools, and they're readily available. Now, if you need help and further information with the census, do come and visit me at genealogyhangout.com. I have some very useful tips on using the census, and you will find it helpful. It's a small boutique group. It's a subscription site. For less than 1 cup of coffee per month, you can have access to some fantastic information. Now, I've done all the hard work for you. You don't have to work hard. And I like people to make use of the information that I've been able to put on the site. And of course, if there's any other information that you need, you can contact me. Reach out, please reach out to me. So for family history, some people feel that they don't know much about their families. So getting back to this particular person, I was able to track him until he died just before the 1901 census. And that was very empowering. It gave us a lot of information on his family, people that lived with the family, and in fact, the person that he married was living with the family in the 1881 census. Now, I found that out through another family member, a distant cousin, and that led me to actually find the family, because I just couldn't find it really. I did find it online eventually through the person that lived with my husband's family, and I'm still searching for her family in earlier census, and I'm sure I have found them. But of course, I like to check things more than once. I like to have at least 3 pieces of information. So that's 3 pieces. I've got 3 fingers I'm holding up if you're reading this. And that's important. So there might be birth, there might be marriage, there might be census, and I need to verify that. And I think it's really important that you do that. So one thing I need to make you aware of when you're looking at census information, particularly in the UK, I've had a lot of experience with that. Don't be distracted by all the lines that you see, because the enumerators and other people that use the census information were counting the data, and it was a way of marking the data that they'd counted so that they didn't lose their place. So it doesn't mean that the information is wrong. No, it doesn't mean that at all. The information, if it was given by those people people is generally correct. So fairly reliable. The 1911 census was fantastic because in the 1911 census for the UK, the head of the household actually filled out the census information and signed it. So prior to that, people used to go around door to door and used to listen to the head of the household and write down then and there on the spot. So the 1911 UK census was the first one that the household filled out, and consequently households filled them out from that time forward. So fantastic information. So there's some standard abbreviations, and I think it's really important that I cover it before this session finishes. You'll notice that the first name might be Smith, and obviously the next person might have been the wife. Normally it was the husband that was listed as the head of the house. Things have changed these days. And then there would be, for example, John Smith, Jane Smith, Bill Smith, Bob Smith. And rather than writing out Smith, the person would just write ditto or do, D-O. So if you see John Smith, Jane do, Bob do, Bill do, their name is not do. It's the same as Smith, okay? So very simple. And the names George, William and Elizabeth are abbreviated. So if you can't find the full name, George for George, try Geo. And for William, if you can't find William, try WM. And for Elizabeth, it might be ELIZ or just Liz. So a lot of names could be pet names as well. And be aware that if someone's missing from that particular census information, they might actually have not been at that household for that night. So they may be elsewhere. And that's happened to our family. I think it was in the 1901 census that the mother was someone else. And she was a midwife, so she may well have been doing a delivery for that night, or she may have just been staying with friends. We can only speculate for that information at the moment. So, a couple of dates that I want to cover for the UK census, and I've spoken more about the UK census this time because when you're checking your ancestry, a lot of people do go back to the UK, even those in the US. So the 1841 census was taken on the 6th of June, the 1851 was taken on the 30th of March, the 1861 was taken on the 7th of April, 1871, 2nd of April, 1881 on the 3rd of April, 1891 on the 5th of April, 1901 was on the 31st of March, and 1911 was taken on the 2nd of April. So you can see that there's a bit of a pattern there now. So from around about 1861 was taken around the beginning of April. And the same with the US, they started being taken on the 1st of April. So I hope you've enjoyed this information. Remember, genealogyhangout.com. Get started. Don't put it off. Find your family history. Check your ancestry, and above all, have fun, and I'll see you soon. So thanks and bye for now. Cheers.